Charlotte Motor Speedway. They're lean, they're mean, they're 5 to 7 horses, a man and machine. They're 4 wide before they start to slip and slide. The Coast to Coast Racing League 350A Modifieds, Pro Late Models, and the 360 Sprint Cars. Well, summer just about here, and we're ready to go for round 1 of the 2025 Coast to Coast Racing League season, and we're set for another edition of Monday Night Madness here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. As always, it's our Open 358s, our Rebels, and our Renegades that are set to do battle here at the home of the Big Gators, the Dirt Car Nationals in Volusia. Always a great place to kick off the season. Glad you could join us here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Marty Sakala with you. So we're set to go. It's a new season of action. The points have reset to 0, and drivers are trying to get that top spot. When it comes to the Open 358s, it's all about chasing after one team, and that's, of course, Full Throttle Motorsports. What's it take to get them? Well, you got to have, obviously, a good setup. You got to have a setup that may be better than the Swan setups that they use, or maybe even a baseline setup. Who knows? But great way to kick off the night. Great way to kick off the season. 27 drivers with us checking here for an afternoon, or for an evening, I should say, of Monday Night Madness. Well, if you're watching, let us know who you're rooting for on the Coast to Coast Racing Network, as we should be moments away from getting things going here with qualifying, and that is the case. Checkers just waved. Kelly Wheeler, the quickest in warm-ups. So qualifying just about underway here. 2 minutes to set your best time here in qualifying. First driver we'll watch is Slide Job Scott Riome in the 4. We're watching Rayom here on the number 4. Your favorite drivers at the bottom of your screen. Purple means a pole lap. Green means it's their best lap. So it's Scotty to set the bar here in qualifying on lap number 1. And he goes with a 17:01. Ryland Banks second. Zach Chapman shaggy to the top. 17:01, but Brandon Dittmer betters it. And same as Kurt Schatzer. 16:86 for Superman in the 218. Steve Reynolds currently second at a 16:91. Dylan Kinsey, in fact, moves up to second spot, 16:89. Does Reynolds have a better lap in him? He does not. Here comes the Philly Flyer, Trevor Giroux across the start-finish line. Slower to 17:12. Quick time to Sam Akonda. Sam Bachman in the top of the charts, the 16:814. And he's better by a couple hundredths over Superman Kurt Schatzer. 30 seconds left in qualifying. Gary Offert will put a lap up here. Maybe have the chance to go for one more lap as well, and I think he will. Not too sure, though, if Bud Molyneux or Kelly Wheeler will get a lap up here in time. They got 8 seconds to complete their lap, and I don't think Bud's going to get across the line in time. He won't, so that'll do it for qualifying. It's Sam Bachman, the quickest, the 16:81. So with that ready for heat race number 1, brought to you by Gambler Motorsports, proud team of the Coast to Coast Racing League. Scott Rayom starts on the pole position. He's in the number 4. Who's outside, it's Glenn Sharp in car 99. Row 2, Greg Parmalee racing the 4. Next to him, the Sam Akonda, Sam Bachman in the 007. The third row, the Bruin to Beast, Jeff Barker in the 513. To his outside, it's Matt Barber in car number 16. Final car on the grid, the Mayor, Steve Bixler in the 75. Look at who's checking in. Anthony Morano, our buddy in the 32. So set for the first of a couple heat races this evening. Winner on pole for the featured top 4 drivers transfer into the show. Everyone else will be forced to go down to our B main. Again, not a lot of commentary for me this evening as I'm trying to rest the voice up here, dealing with under the weather with a sore throat here, but we'll see what we can do. I've got the 2 best drinks next to me right now, a tea and a Pedialyte. Read us out for Heat 1. So Rayom leads, Bachman second, Parmalee and Sharp, they're side by side for the 3rd spot on the track. And now it's 3 wide as Barber tries to thread the needle. We saw him at Super Dirt Modified Week a couple weeks ago at Oswego. That was our charity race during the spring season. Volusia is always so much fun to watch racing out, whether it be a modified. Ooh. Sharp up at the wall in turn 3. Whether it be a modified or a sprint car, because it's always the bottom group or the middle group that always come in handy. The track always changes throughout the show. You always see a couple of wow slide jobs here and out. But it's FTM 1-2. Bachman looking for the lead on Scott Rayom. Barker trying to grab 4th, but they're still door-to-door as Rayom able to clear Bachman for right now. White flag waves, final lap in Heat 1. Parmalee third, Barber fourth. The 16 car still with a lot of company from Jeff Barker in that 513. They make their way through into 3 and 4. Checkers way, Bachman looking for a run. Rayon wins the heat and is on pole. Bachman second, Parmalee in a photo for third over Barber. Barker fifth, Bixler sixth, and Glenn Sharp in seventh. So that does it for Heat 1. Heat 2 brought to you by Regency Home Inspection. And the starting lineup has Brian Moore Sr. on the pole position. He's at the 055. To his outside, it's the Spider Monkey, Brandon Dittmer, in car 83. Row 2, 100 grand, Joseph Grandy in the 518. To his outside, it's Superman, Kurt Schatzer in the 218. The third row, Logan Wentz in the 18. Nice to meet Logan a couple weeks ago at Thunder Mountain Speedway. Perhaps tied for first in the best speed of the game alongside Zach Chapman. Next to him is Chad Lackey in car 91. Final car on the grid. That's Kelly Wheeler in the 110. So rolling the cars as we get ready to go for heat race number 2. Go one lap to the green flag this time. Winner starts on the outside of row number 1. We're green for heat race number 2. Good start by Brian Moore Sr. down the back as Dittmer and Wentz go at it for second. Schatzer stuck in the back of that 4th position. Lap 1, barely Dittmer at the line. Oh, that's tight there. Here comes Kelly Wheeler trying to take advantage of all this mess. But Dittmer trying to clear Wentz underneath for that race lead. The line there, I think it was Dittmer by about a hair. Schatzer now trying to get past Wheeler for the final transfer spot. Hey, that could get tight. Man, oh man. How Wheeler and Moore were able to save it, I'm not too sure. But very close quarters racing here as Logan Wentz takes the lead. Slide job up on Brandon Dittmer. The 83 counters. He bangs Nerf bars with them. Tries to hip check him. But it's 2 by 2 off the corner. That time by it was Wentz by a couple hundredths. 3 to go in heat 2. Schatzer quickest car on track, 1692. And And now an insurance spot's up for grabs with 2 to go. Final lap underway. We're trying to finish for the second spot. Schetzer took a peek for fourth on Brian Moore Sr. That may have just cost him a spot in. We'll have to go through to the B main. Off of 4, Logan Wentz sees the checkers, wins heat race number 2. Dittmer second, Wheeler third, Moore fourth, Schetzer fifth, and Lackey sixth. Moving on to heat race number 3, brought to you by Maurer Farm Management. It's Bob DeGood on the pole here for heat race number 3. To his outside, it's Joe Musso. The Moose is back here in the number 28. Row 2, Harold Klump in car number 2. To his outside, DK Dylan Kinsey in the 639. The third row, John DeVias in the 21, and making his coast-to-coast debut, I believe, with us on a Monday night, Todd. Hopefully I have this pronounced correct. Hitala, either Hitala or Hitala. I believe it's Hitala. If I have that wrong, Todd, correct me in the chat. Final car on the grid, Bud Molyneux. He's in the 883 tonight. Ready for the green for our third of 4 heat races. And again, heat 3 brought to you by Maurer Farm Management. Our open 358 division brought to you by Full Throttle Motorsports. Official team of Coast to Coast as we're green for the heat. Very slow start for Bob DeGood. Joe Musso takes advantage of the race lead. Dylan Kinsey up to second. Harold Klump looking for third off of turn 4. Lap one to line is Musso. Saw a big send-in by Klump there into turn 1. Didn't work. Now it's to do with DeBias in the race for fourth. I think Kinsey there in turn 4 was just letting Joe that he was there. Race for fourth. Check that, that's the race for fifth. Molyneux on DeBias, where Molyneux was not able to complete his first lap in qualifying. Was probably angry over that. Just had trouble, by the way. Todd Hitala is crashed on the front straight. So that'll put him in the B main for sure. We're halfway home in the heat. Here goes Kinsey for the race lead. Musso countering the back. Nice defense from the 28 as he hangs on. Bob DeGood tries to close in with 2 to go. Ooh, Kinsey with a bumper to Musso. Stacks up DeGood. Opens up the door for Harold Klump to grab third. Just about Klump of the line. White flag, 1 to go in heat 3. Klump of the wall. Now hanging on to fourth. Bud Molyneux all over him for that final transfer spot The 883 with a big sign won't work. Musso with the win in Heat 3. Kinsey second, DeGood third, Klump fourth, Molyneux fifth, Tobias sixth, and Itala in seventh. One final heat race left to go. Let's get you the starting lineup for the action there. Is Putt-Putt Clay Christopherson on pole position in the 051. To his outside, it's Shaggy Zach Chapman in the 72. Row number 2, it's the Philly Flyer Trevor Giroux. And that Canadian Maple Syrup 075 to his outside, Dean Reynolds in the 79. Final row, Ryland Banks in the 76, and to his outside, Gary Offutt in the 94. Ryland again, one of those competitors that ran with us at Super Dirt Modified Week, excuse me. Now going to run with us this season. This is definitely a stacked heat like the Magic Ant-Man says. Again, for those just joining us, welcome. Bear with me. I'm not going to be commentating as much here tonight as I'm dealing with a sore throat. I'm under the weather here today, but still be bringing you here all the action here for Monday Night Madness, brought to you by Flatline Racing Bodies, as well as this division brought to you by FTM. Green flag is out for heat race number 4. Putt leads lap 1. Well, Giroux challenging Chapman for second and maybe the lead, but Giroux had to hit the binders to avoid making contact with the door of his teammate. Now with Dean, I know he told me that his paint scheme is chrome. Either that or my trading paints is not updating well tonight. But he told me he had a gold paint scheme. So I think it's my trading paints. I don't know though. Three wide for second. Chapman edging out both Reynolds and Giroux. And that's your top 4 all under a one blanket. Close action here off the corner. 2 of the 3 booth boys in this race. Heck, they've all been in the booth with me at some point commentating races. So we're halfway home here in Heat 4. Correction, 3 to go in Heat 4. Yeah, Anthony, I don't know why the gold car is not showing up. And maybe my trading paints, I'm going to refresh. Regardless, 2 laps to go here in the heat. You know what? That explains it, I think. My trading paints legit just had to do an update. That's probably why. Final lap in Heat 4 underway. Zach Chapman, quickest car on track at a 17:11. There we go. There we go. We're all cooking now. We got the right paint schemes. There's the checkers. Christopherson wins Heat 4. Chapman second, Giroux third, Reynolds fourth, Banks fifth, Gary Offutt sixth. Never have I seen a race where paint schemes just changed like magic in the same race. It's like the wrap came off and you had a backup wrap. All right. Let's move on here to our B main. We figured out 16 drivers. We're going to take the top 8 and move them on to the big dance. And they line up this way. On the pole, the Brute to Beast, Jeff Barker in the 513. To his outside, Kurt Schatzer, Superman, the 218. Road 2, Bud Molyneux, he's in the 883. Next to him, Ryland Banks in car 76. Road 3, the Mayor, Steve Bixler in the 75. To his outside, Chad Lackey in the 91. Row 4, John DeBias in car 21. Next to him, Gary Offutt in the 94. Running out the top 10, it's Glenn Sharp of the 99 and Joseph Grandy, 100 grand, the 518, who does not make the call to grid. So Grandy will not be running the 358, so he'll have to get ready for Renegades later on tonight. Final car on the grid, Todd Hitala in the 46. We'll focus on the 8th place car after lap 1. So we're sending 3 home, right now 2 home, out of this.
Green flag, green flag.
Green flag is out, underway. Man, a lot of stacking up there off in turn 2. Schatzer with the advantage as Barker and Banks battle for the 2 spot. 8th place car off in turn 4. Currently, Glenn Sharp has some distance, I should say, on both Offutt and Hitala. Ooh, big hip check there on the 21 of DeBias. And tried to go for payback, and DeBias has ballparked it. He's gone. Gary Offutt says, thank you very much. I'll take 8th spot, but look out. Todd Hitala trying to take advantage of this. Next driver that wrecks from the looks of it will be done for the night. Hitala edges out Offutt at the line for the final spot in the big dance. A lot of yaw from Offutt there off turn 4. That costs him big time as Hitala takes the spot. So he's trying to open up the gap there as we watch the race for 3rd. Lackey, Banks, and Molyneux. This could be a danger zone situation. Four to go in Arakansi. Schatzer leading by 1.1 on Jeff Barker. Probably up the hill for just a moment. Back to that race for 8. Hitala still over Gary Offutt on board with the 46. Now, one car in the background, for those wondering, that's John DeBias. Was hoping for a lot more instance to see if he could make up a couple laps, but at this point on, DeBias guaranteed will not make it into the show. This is the race for the final spot we're watching very closely. If someone else in front of the 2 wreck, Gary Offutt will move up into the final spot in the show. Molyneux and Banks do battle for the 4th spot. Final lap underway here. Ooh, Molyneux risking it there. Little contact between him and Banks. In the wall went Molyneux, lost a lot of time. He'll just play her safe than sorry and put his ride in. Checkers wave, Kurt Schatzer wins. Barker second, Lackey third, Banks fourth, Molyneux fifth, Bixler sixth, Sharp seventh, Hitala in eighth, final car in. Off it, Tobias and Grandy head home. And so we'll step aside and take a break. When we come back, feature time of the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Warm up, just continuing here and wrapping up. Hero Clump quickest, 17:09. Trevor Giroux, 17:10. Kurt Schatzer, Chad Lackey, 17:11. Sam Bachman, 17:14. So we are set to go for feature time, and we're ready to go. Let's meet the field and give you your starting lineup. On the pole, Scott Rayom, slide job Scotty in the Ford, who is outside. Logan Wentz in the 118. Row number 2, the Moose, Joe Musto in the 28, who is outside. It's Putt-Putt Clay Christopherson, the 51. Row 3, Sam Bachman in the 007. Next to him, it's the Spider Monkey, Brandon Dittmer in the 83. Row 4, DK, Dylan Kinsey in the 639. To his outside, it's Shaggy Zach Chapman in the 72. Running out the top 10, Greg Parmalee in the 4. Next to him, it's Kelly Wheeler in the 110. Row 6, Bob DeGood in the 7. Next to him, the Philly Flyer, Trevor Giroux in the 75. Row 7, Matt Barber in the 16. Next to him, it's Brian Moore Sr. in the 55. Row 8, Harold Klump in car number 2. To his outside, Dean Reynolds, Dino in the 79. Row 9, Superman, Kurt Schatzer in the 218. To his outside, the Bird to Beast, Jeff Barker in the 513. And row 10, Chad Lackey in the 91 and Ryland Banks in the 76. final 4 cars, Bud Molyneux, the Mayor, Steve Bixler, row 11, and Glenn Sharp and Todd Hitala round out the field. Picks to win here this evening? Man, that's a good question. You know, I'm liking Logan Wentz at that 118, and I hope that Beard works well for Logan, so I'm going to go with him. Anthony says Scott Rayom is the man that is going to be tough to beat. I wouldn't be surprised if he is the man either. Again, there won't be as much commentary as you normally hear from me, as, again, I'm dealing with a little sore throat under the weather, and don't want to ruin that in advance of a race I got to call on Saturday, so... But we're ready to shake and bake for the first time tonight. 30 laps here for the Open 358. And it's an all FTM front row. Time to get it on here at Volusia. Man, 3 wide through 3 and 4, nearly 4 wide. Christopherson thought about shooting it up the gap, but it's Rayom that leads lap 1. Just off the Flatline Racing Bodies green. Trouble in the back. Jeff Barker spins. Yellow lights on for the first time tonight. Ooh, just wrapped over the wheel of Kurt Schatzer and the 76 of Banks. Nowhere to go. That was the onboard Jeff Barker, and we're under our first caution flag, which comes on lap number 2. Should go 1 lap to green this time by. So it's Rayom and Musso, row number 1. The 4 selects the inside line. Wentz and Bachman, row 2. Christopherson, Dittmer, row 3. Kinsey and Wheeler, row 4. And Chapman and Parmalee round out the top 10. Set for the restart. And it's 3 wide again for third, with Bachman in the middle, near contact with Musso in the 28. And it's Rayom that continues to lead. Wentz wants the top spot. Brandon Detmer stuck in the middle with Dylan Kinsey underneath. 3 wide, 4 wide behind them. Oh boy! Musso forced to left. I think he's got a problem with the 28. Off the pace. Holy, 5 wide in the center of 1 and 2. Oh my! Oh my! How did Musso keep that car straight? He is plummeted down the leaderboard into 18th. Meanwhile, my goodness gracious. This is a smorgasbord off turn 2. Matt Barber 3 wide the middle. That's Giroux underneath. Chapman up top. That's the race for 8. 3 wide here for the race lead. Here comes Bachman, the 007, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4 FTM. Kinsey trying to make it a top 5 sweep. Logan Wentz quickest trouble Zach Chapman around the 72, and you see Musso, the 28, has lost the right front. They're all out of harm's way as we stay green. Ooh, big slider from Wentz, some contact with Sam Bachman. Oh my. And they're double file. Wentz, another slider, forces Rayom out of the groove. And Wentz keeps the race lead for right now. Still 3 wide off for 2. This is some dang good stuff. Look at this. That's the top 7. A hornet's nest across the line. Look at this. Wentz staying out in front. The Samaconda, if I recall correctly, our defending Open 358 champion, wants the race lead away. How is nobody wrecked yet? Take a ride on board with Brandon Dittmer. Look how close this is. Just hold on to your horses. Dittmer diamonding through 3 and 4. Contact off the 51 of Christopherson. And it's 3 wide once again. Kinsey this time in the middle. And I'm interested if this could become an 8-car race. Matt Barber starting to close in, and that's number 16 after he started back in the 13th spot. Next time by, we'll be halfway, 15 up and 15 down. And it's Christopherson, putt still in the middle. As Logan Wentz, still your race leader, a halfway by half a car length on Sam Bachman. Near contact in 2 between Dittmer and Kinsey. And your top 2 trying to run away for the battle for 3rd between Rayom and Christopherson. Wentz, some really good defense on that 007 for right now. All really good stuff happening here at Volusia Speedway Park, and it's only race 1 of the 2025 summer season. It's starting off right with a bang. I don't know if we'll see any better racing than this we've seen so far this season, but I think we will. Dylan Kinsey last time by, quickest car on track, and it's 17-2. Ten to go across the start-finish line for Logan Wentz. The gap still a car length on Sam Bachman. Makes you wonder if Bachman, who looks underneath, if he's saving all of his tricks for the very end. Battle for the race lead. Bachman trying to crowd Wentz up the hill, but it won't work. And now here come Rayom and Kinsey once again. And again, this is an FTM, all top 5 at the moment. Wentz, Bachman, Rayon, Kinsey, and Christofferson. And they're all racing very, very clean for now. Six laps to go. Wentz trying to run away from this one. They're still battling for third here. Rayon kisses the wall. Kinsey trying to take third. 5 to go. Ooh, Bachman. Contact with, oh no! Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, that was such a good race. And Sam Bachman, Dean Reynolds all involved. Bachman caught the attenuator. And everybody tried to scatter and dodge it. But they all just couldn't. Man, that is such a heartbreak, not the start. The 007 once looks at him. He thought he was low enough. Contact with Wentz there. That's just hard racing going on in those final few laps. That's how I look at things. Let's go on board, Bachman. Well, that took out some good FTM cars tonight, that's for sure. Right there, there's the contact. Watch Dylan Kinsey, who was just minding his own business following all this. Nowhere to go. There's onboard Sam Bachman. Well, how does this shake up now? Well, Scott Rayome is now back up to second. And Clay Christofferson in third, so it won't be an FTM. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It still could be a 1, 2, 3. Here we go for the restart. 3 laps to go. Determine our winner. Let's see if Pug Pug can grab that second position. Rayome around the outside for the race lead. 2 sticks in the air, 2 to go. Man, Rayome ripping the left very well off for turn number 2. Ooh, when slides up, Rayome can't gain anything out of it though. White flag waves, final lap. Which FTM car is going to victory lane? Wentz, Christofferson, or Rayome who throws the slider off in turn 2. Here comes the 51 of Christofferson. He moves up to second. Final corner. Logan Wentz off turn 4 takes the checkers. They crash further back. What a race. Christofferson second, Rayome third, Wheeler fourth, and Brandon Dittmer round out the top 5. What a race that was tonight, huh? Results should be on your screen. If not, I don't know why they wouldn't be. There we go. So again, Wentz the winner, Christopherson second, Rayom third, Wheeler fourth, Dittmer fifth. Your biggest mover was Schatzer and Bixler, each up 11 spots. Schatzer finishing 6th, Bixler 11th. Obviously, the heartbreak of the night's got to go to Sam Bachman, that 007, finishing 21st in the end. Look at that. Dang. A lot of heartbreaks in that race, that's for sure. And I think we're ready to talk to your top three. And let's begin with the man that finished in third, Scott Rayom.
You guys stuck behind me.
Slide job, Scotty, a great run in those final few laps. What more, though, did you need?
I needed to stop making so many mistakes. And I had lead. I tagged the wall and opened up the bottom for those guys. And it's my fault. I gave it away.
How'd you feel about running the slider line throughout the night this evening?
Well, that setup is actually really, really good on the top, and the top just didn't seem to be there. Like this setup I've ran a lot. I almost beat Murano in a different league the other night with this setup, with just burping the throttle going into 3 and 4 and just being wide open the whole rest of the corner. It just wasn't there tonight. I tried it a couple of times, and it just seemed like the slider line was a little bit better, and there was still some tack in the middle there. And I mean, I can't be upset with the top three of FTM sweep, but I feel like I kind of gave one away there.
Who do you want to give shout-outs to, though, on the run?
All the guys over at Full Throttle Motorsports. Gunner at Swan Speed Shop. This setup was a little twist off from his that our old buddy DJ made this setup a few weeks ago, and this thing is just a rocket ship. I'm pretty sure that's what Logan ran. Sam was running it, or no, Sam was running a different one, but I think just about every FTM guy out there was running the same setup that I gave them all right before we went out, and it's just really good. And all the guys over at Coast to Coast, Dean at Super Dirt Car Series, you for doing the broadcast again, Marty. We appreciate that. I think that's it. Logan for the win, Clay for second. So I don't know what happened with Sam. That really sucks because I mean he was all over. It was. I bet you. Hopefully, it put on a really good show because we were all tight and it was very quiet in Discord.
Oh, that was a fun gaggle of cars battling there. Will I see you Saturday at Fulton or no?
Frankie mentioned something about going to Fulton, but we were so bad on Saturday that I think we might be taking every nut and bolt out of the car and starting over.
Fair enough.
I don't know if we'll be there or not. Hopefully not. I think we should focus on, our home track.
Fair enough. All good. All right, man. We'll talk to you soon. Nice job.
All right, Marty.
Scott Rayom, your third place finisher. The man that finished in second, Putt Clay Christopherson. Man, what a fun battle amongst the FTM cars there before the wreck happened. Would you enjoy that one from your perspective?
I wasn't ready for it because on my screen I already cleared it, and all of a sudden I just felt like I got T-boned at 100 miles an hour from it looked like a neck coated pretty bad off me, but yeah, my left front got pushed in pretty bad those last couple of laps. She would enter the corner good, and then she'd start clunking all the way around.
But man, you still had a really fast hot rod. FTM did as a whole. What positives do you take away from it?
It was definitely a patient track, and we had to set up for patience. Even with that damage towards the end, it still felt fairly quick and had good drive. Was hoping maybe that caution would have came out a little bit sooner so we could have had a shot at third at the time. But I think if there was a few more laps, we might have been able to play around a little bit with the top two there. So, but no, it was a fun race.
Absolutely was, man. Who do you want to give shout-outs to?
You guys putting this on, all the boys at FTM and Swan Speed Shop for 358 and big block sets.
All right, man. We'll let you go. Great job tonight, and we'll talk to you later on, hopefully.
Thank you, sir.
You may have to move yourself out. I can't find my mouse anywhere. Alright, if I could just find my mouse, that would be great. You know what? I know why. My mouse actually just died. Alright, give me one moment here while I put that in, and then we can bring in the race winner here. Alright, now I think it's working. Yes, it is. Alright, let's bring in the race winner, Logan Wentz. So that's what you thought of the race? That's what you thought of the race?
That's what I think of every race, Marty.
Take me through that one from your perspective. Man, oh man.
I don't know. I kind of feel bad because that last caution was definitely because of me. It wasn't on Sam. Um, Pitched the car a little too hard sideways in the middle of the corner and ended up going down on him and drove him right into the tires.
I don't know. That looked like a I think it just looked like a hard racing situation from my perspective. Obviously, you got the better view of it than I did, but still, that was some sort of race for sure.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, that track was very slick.
Who do I give shoutouts to on the run?
I gotta thank the boys over at FTM and you for putting these broadcasts on, Castleberry Flagstone, Shaggy TV, and everybody at home for watching.
Alrighty. We'll let you go, man. Great job tonight. Congrats on the win, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Hopefully.
So that's Logan Wentz, the race winner. We'll step aside and take a break. When we come back, Rebels on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Stay with us. It's time for another edition of RSN Trackside, powered by Bob Johnson Auto Group on Rock Sports Network. Gets on the champion, trying to be a
Bit of a hiatus, so let's get.
Right when we talked about it.
outpouring of love was amazing. These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized, no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. We can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive, so having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
I was involved in a pretty gnarly sprint car crash. Found out my brain was swelling and bleeding. Pelvic bone was broken. I had 2 cracked vertebrae on my back, and I was in the ICU a little over a week. The Steve King Foundation reached out to my parents. We received a donation from them. Immediately, they started me on what's called neurofeedback, and insurance did not cover the neurofeedback appointments. So we received another donation from the Steve King Foundation. It really helped a lot, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to the Steve King Foundation for everything that they have done for me. This last Sunday, I got to turn laps in my modified here. That was my first laps back in a race car since the accident, and I truly believe that if it wasn't for the Steve King Foundation, I wouldn't be able to do that or be where I'm at today.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
Back here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network as we're ready to go for Rebels action here on our Monday Night Madness. Rebels are brought to you by our friends at the Salty Dogs. See who's checking in here. Dylan Kinsey says hello and says, man, we were putting on a good show and such a fast card too. Yeah, you guys really were regardless. And Anthony says, FTM union meeting. I'm sure that will happen. Right now, we're set to go for Rebels action here. Our defending champ, Steven Fernberg, moved up to Renegades. Congrats to him on that. We've got 13 drivers with us, and we are set to qualify. We'll watch the first driver that makes his way onto the track. That'll be Kale Bixter, the sergeant in the 789. Again, we'll be limited on commentary throughout the night. Again, if you're just joining us, I'm a little bit under the weather, so with a sore throat and don't want to ruin the voice for Saturday, so we'll watch Bixter's first lap, and we'll keep you posted on who gets the pole right now. Ted York fastest, 13:48. GJ Boydell second quick. Now puts Mike Watson to second. There's Scott Rayoman fourth off the corner. Any improvements? Not that we see for right now. Here's Gary Offut off turn 4. Let's go to Jason Coffey in the 146 off the corner. Clay Christopherson second quick on lap 1. 13:49 was the quickest of all drivers in Sector 1. It was Ted York Sector 2 that made him quicker. Let's see off the corner. He's slower. And so with that, Ted York is still the quickest. Chad Griggs now down to Rebels this season after limited starts in Renegades. Oh man, just give it to him. Quick time, 13:2:19:13. 2:09 for the driver of the 27. And so Chad Griggs the quickest by a quarter of a second on Ted York. I don't know, Anthony. What are you thinking? Maybe a possible bounty? all seriousness, we'll see what happens. So ready to go for heat race number 1. Again, heat 1 brought to you by Gambler Motorsports. And it's the Moose on the pole, Joe Musso in the 28 to his outside. Nice to see him back. G.J. Boydell, a regular viewer of the track in Canandaigua with the Land of Legends on Saturdays. Boydell starts second, road 2. Putt-putt, Clay Christopherson the 51. To his outside, it's Chad Griggs in the 27. Row 3, Gary Offutt in the 94. And Greg Parmalee in car 4. Final car in the grid, Bud Molyneux. He's in the 883. So for the rest of the field to roll off here. Here we go. One lap to the green flag. Again, winner is on pole. Hollow checking in. Hope you're doing well, my friend. And, of course, the biggest Chad Cote fan in the planet. So we're ready for the start of Heat 1. Everyone makes it into the show. First of 2 heats tonight. Winner on pole, we're green. Just 3 wide moments ago. Griggs leads lap 1. Boydell trying to hang on to second, trying to use the preferred groove for later on tonight. That, of course, is the high side. Christopherson throwing it in there, trying to grab some spots. So he makes his way up to third. But Griggs has already opened up the gap big time. 1 second on the Canadian kid, G.J. Boydell. On board with Putt-Putt. He's there for second. May have edged out Greg at the line, not too sure though. From the rear end, it's Clay's able to clear. Ooh, look at GJ. Yeah, that's a pretty good view. How close that he was onto the tail tank of the 51. 2 laps to go. Joe Musso hanging on to 4th over Greg Parmalee. White flag waves though this time. 1 to go for Chad Griggs. And Scott Thomason Racing, number 27. So good to see Chad back with us. Hopefully on a regular basis as he takes the checkers. Griggs on pole tonight. Christopherson second, third is Boydell, 4th Molyneux, 5th Parmalee. Joe Musso crashing. He finishes 6th. I have to take a look at the replay and see what may have happened. once this fast forwards through, we'll look at a replay and show you what may have happened. Alright, so we want Joe. Here's what happened. Battling Parmalee for fourth. Ooh, Parmalee threw it in there. They hooked. Ooh, that's a big hit. Give credit to Parmalee, at least on the landing. And again, big emphasis on at least. Alright, Heat 2, brought to you by Regency Home Inspections. Let's determine the outside line of the grid is Cale Bixler, the sergeant on the pole in the 789, who is outside at slide job. Scott Rayom in the 4. Road 2, making his, I believe, his first start with us. Mike Watson, Doc in the 006, who is outside. It's Ted York in the 009. Final row, Jason Coffey in the 146, who is outside. Bill Calder. Yeah, it's so good to see Bill racing with us after the medical issues he's had in the past couple of months, if not past year or so, in the 325. Bill Calder rounding out the field. I'm just glad he's racing with us tonight. I don't care where he finishes. The fact that he's driving in iRacing with us, that's good to see. So we're prepared for the green flag. Underway in Heat 2. Again, this will determine the outside row. Ooh, hang on there, Scott. Around he goes. Man, what a save. Fantastic save by Scott. Got yeeted there by Watson, but he continues on to roll. Ted York through to the second spot. And the quickest car on track at a 1390. Let's see if York could possibly catch Cale Bixler. York driving deep through 1 and 2. Watson goes up just a little bit, but everyone throughout the field is pretty much gapped here in Heat 2. No issues going on so far throughout the field. 2 to go. York, though, quickest car on track. Well, was it 1388? Then it was Rayon 1382. Cale works on Bill Calder. Bill just trying to run his own race, trying to get out of the leader's way. That's the case. Final lap underway. Cale through 3 and 4 takes the checkers. The Maurer Farm Management 789 starts second tonight. York second, Watson third, Coffey fourth, Rayon fifth, and Calder sixth. We'll step aside, take a commercial break. When we come back, feature time of the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Action continuing here in warm-ups. Chad Griggs currently the quickest, 13.734. Scott Rayholm second, 14.07. GJ Boydell third, 14.14. Joe Musso fourth, 14.21. And Cale Bixler fifth, 14.23. So we're set to go here for feature time. 13 drivers to take the green tonight. And with that being said, let's give you tonight's starting lineup for our feature this evening. Chad Griggs on the pole. He's in the 27. To his outside, it's Cale Bixler in the 789. Road 2, Putt Clay Christopherson, the 51. Next to him, Teddy York in the 009. Road 3, G.J. Boydell in the 014. Next to him, Mike Watson, Doc in the 006. Row 4, Bud Molyneux in the 883. And Jason Coffey to his outside in the 146. Rounding out the top 10, Greg Parmalee. In car number 4, to his outside, it's Slide Job Scotty. Scott Rayholm in the 4. The 6th row, the Moose. Joe Musso in the 28. Bill Calder in the 25. Gary Offit rounds out the grid. He's in car number 94. Pick to win, I'm going to go with the pace car. I think he wins. Nah, I'm kidding. Chad Griggs. And if I jinx him, I may be forced to retire. Who knows? So we're ready to take the green flag. All right, top 5, keep in mind, transfer to the Renegades pending IL. Second time tonight that it's time to shake and bake. As it's Cale Bixler and Chad Griggs set to bring us the green. Time to get it on once again at Volusia. Flatline Racing Bodies green flag once again. Griggs leading over Cale Bixler. The 27 leads lap 1. Ooh, hang on there, Teddy York. A little bit too much yaw through turn 1. We check that, maybe actually G.J. Boydell. A couple of drivers making some sense. Boydell won. Same with Watson, trouble. Parmalee turned off and collected. Off of the 28 of Musso. First yellow flies. Just runs into him. Gary Offit nowhere to go in that 94, right on board with him. He got ran into from behind as well. What the heck happened there? Ooh, Rayholm got in the back of him. I made a nice save after all that. Wow, very impressive. Should be 1 to green this time. So double file restart. As Griggs and Bixler row 1, Boydell and York row 2. Mike Watson rounds out the top 5 for this restart.
Green flag, green flag.
Under the green flag, Griggs able to hold. Bixler, Boydell racing for second. York and Watson getting top 5 transfer. That's how they look at the moment. Line, Bixler edging out Boydell for that runner-up position. As the sergeant ripping the lip off of 2. York takes a peek downstairs on Boydell for 3rd. It's Mike Watson in 5th. Jason Coffey, first one out in 6th. Blake Christofferson will make his way up through the field after he lost a couple spots early. Run he's wanted at FTM number 51. Ooh boy, Watson nearly biking in turn 1. Had to catch it. That cost him a spot as a result, on board with 006. Yellow waves here, second time tonight. We got Gary Offit and Bud Molyneux, and don't believe Bill Calder caught a piece of the action there. There's no damage off his ride. Here's a look at what happened to Gary and Bill and Bud. So Bud's in front of this contact off permit. Ooh, that's a big hit. Both of them upside down. Somehow that 94 able to drive straight. I don't know. Right on board with Bud. Contact off. I think that may have been Rayon, but oh man, 2 bad hits. A on the landing though, I'll give him credit. Watch from this perspective. Not too bad. Not too bad. So one more double file restart here. Hollow says, oh my, after that. Here we go for the restart. Watch this from the blimp as we come back to the green.
Green flag, green flag.
Briggs pulling away here from Ted York. Watch the race for 3rd. Christofferson has rebounded his way up through the field. Maybe he can grab 2nd at the line. I think it was York by a couple hundredths. Some sparks off the wall by Bixler. Look at this race for 5th here. Boydell, meanwhile, has lost the front wing. Contact off of Parmalee. That car angry. Don't know what happened to GJ. But some contact off at somebody. I don't know if he hit the tail tank of another car or if there was something off the side that sheared it off. But the front end gone, but obviously the car drivable will lose some aero though. Up the wall, Kale Bixler. Through to 5th now is Scott Rayome in the 4. And I think he may have grabbed the piece of the inside wall. He did. Watson trying to take advantage of it. Ooh, big slider. Too much yaw. Rayome has to catch it. Oh, man. Kale Bixler in the flip hit. For just a moment, we go to yellow. Look at what happened. He's caught the wall. In the fence and back on the track. Right on board. Definitely did some left side damage there. So actually go double file here on this restart. See what happens here.
Green, green, green.
13 laps complete. Griggs brings us to green. They're already working on lap traffic as Bud Molyneux just exited pit road. Not too sure what was amiss on the 83. Man, Griggs almost hit that attenuator as he hangs down the race lead. Now also putting a lap on Bill Calder, so... Oh no, there goes Scott. And he puts Jason Coffey upside down as well. Wild ride there for the 4. Look at what happened. Just like Kale. Same spot too. Turn 2, Calamity Corner in this feature right now. Right on board. You see Coffee just gets clipped in the action. Would not be surprised if this time they decide to go single file. We'll see. So lights are off. We'll go single file for the rest of this race. So it's Chad Griggs, Clay Christopherson, Ted York, Mike Watts, and Joe Moose of the top 5 all would be eligible to transfer into Renegades.
Green, green, green.
Back to green. So Griggs holds. Let's go to 5th. Parmalee wants to move up. Unable to do so there. Let's go to 2nd. New York trying to get a big drive off for turn 2. Can he grab it? Clears putt-putt. But now a crisscross by the 51. We go back to yellow. And this one may be for Gary Offer once again. And yes, another flip. That may end his night. Show you what happened to Gary. That's Bill behind him. Oh, Bill just came up. Broke the steering column. And look at that wild tumble down the front. Right on board. Just mind his own business. We'll like to see what happened with Bill, too. May have hit the inside wall before that broke out. Let's watch. Did we catch the inside? No, just got way tight. Too much throttle. Try this restart next time by. A reminder, Renegades. Hopefully, it's coming up next here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Hopefully, hopefully we can go green to the end. Try it again. 12 to go. Griggs able to hold serve. Christopherson clearing York off for turn 2. While Musso and Watson do get it for the 4th spot. Contact for 6 between Boydell and Parmalee. Can the 28 clear the 006 off for turn 4? Watson keeps his foot in the gas and has 4th. 10 to go. Bite from Christopherson, good slider from Joe. 9 to go. Meanwhile, it's all Chad Griggs, yellow again. Greg Parmalee upside down in 2. Volusia is not treating people with kindness, and apparently I may have heard this too. Bill Calder may have been involved. Watch the replay, see what happened to Greg. Flip pit, same angle, and this time a harder impact. Third car in the flip pit tonight. Ouch, that's a very hard hit. You got that much speed, I don't even think the car was on the brakes when Parmalee got up there. So yeah, definitely a bummer for him for sure. Chad Griggs would love to just get this race over and get ready for Renegades. As obviously we all know he's got the car to beat tonight. Try this again. There's 8 laps of racing to go in the Rebels. Again, top 5 transfer to Renegades. No IL affected because we're in the first week of the season. Again, it's week 3. When the IL rule goes into effect, we're back to green. Griggs has dominated this one without question. The race for 5th still a good one. GJ Boydell, Mike Watson. Watson. Sounds like he's been doing with some neck code and it may have affected Boydell there. Watson trying to go past for 4th. Christopherson past York. 2nd spot is his. Boy, Watson can get that fixed before Renegades. Nice slider up on Musso as he clears. Man, I'm interested in seeing how these sliders work out tonight in the Renegades. Watson forced to left. Crosses over. In contact with Boydell. Hangs on. Spot in Renegades on the line. The men that finished 6 or below are done for the night. 4 to go. Boydell tries again. Three to go. York still open that putt. Christopherson makes a mistake. He takes her around the high side. Looking for that runner-up spot. But Chad Griggs, who has been dominant in Rebels in the past, has won a couple Renegades races. Didn't run a lot last season with some other things going on. Across the line, white flag waves. Right on board with him on this final lap. To the checkered flag he comes. Chad Griggs, first win this season. Comes with the Rebels at Volusia. York 2nd, Christopherson 3rd, Boydell 4th. Joe Musso, your biggest mover, finishes 5th. They're all in the Renegade show tonight. Look at how the field finished there. The heartbreak of the night, Cale Bixler started 2nd. In the end, finishes in 13th. So your top 3. Pose for a photo, and we'll bring everyone in here. I'll try to get Christopherson to be the first to talk with us, and we'll try to make these interviews short and sweet, as we got a Renegades race to watch. Alright, we got the 3rd place driver in here. Let's see if Clay gets himself undeafened. There we go. Clay, take me through that one. We got to make this quick with Renegades approaching.
I didn't really know what I was doing until about halfway through, and then the track got pretty slick, and I was just holding my line where I knew I was comfortable. I couldn't find anything up there to be fast, so I just stayed on the bottom and surprisingly got 3rd. So,
who do you want to give shout-outs to?
You guys for putting this on, all the guys at FTM and Swan Speed shot for 358 and big block sets.
Great job, man. Best of luck in Renegades in just a moment.
Thank you, sir.
So there's Putt Putt, your third place finisher. Let's go to the man that finished second, Ted York in the 09. Ted, great to talk with you. Take me through your car. Take me through that race as a whole. Got to make this quick with Renegades coming.
It was a lot of fun. I had a really good battle with Clay, I think it was.
Yep.
Right at the end there. Yeah, we ran side by side, and I kind of waited for him to mess up a little bit coming off a 2 at the end, and so the car was really good. It was a lot of fun.
Who do you want to give?
We'll give a shout out to School of Sim Racing, National Auto Racing Club League. That's about it.
Alrighty, sounds good. Are we going to see you in Renegades?
No, you're not tonight.
Gotcha. All right, well, enjoy the rest of the night. Get a beer out. Good job tonight.
Thank you.
Ted York finishes second. Let's go to Victory Lane and bring in your race winner, Chad Griggs to the 27. Chad, we gotta make this quick, man, but first off, where in the world have you been? It feels like forever since we last talked with you.
I just had a whole lot going on last season and just wasn't able to run very much. So,
well, you started the season off right with the winning Rebels. Take me through this race car.
the car felt good. I wish maybe I could have run enough races last season in Renegades, because that's really what I wanted to do, is just run a couple races with the Renegades. And of course, since I wasn't in the top 25, I got to play by the rules and come down here and finish in the top 5 to do that. So that's what I did, and looking forward to Renegades.
Who do you want to give shout-outs to on the run?
Thank you guys for the broadcast, C2C, everybody behind the scenes, adminning, all that. My new team, I've had a team change. I'm with TJM now. And then Trent Pullman for my wrap on my car.
Apologies for that. There you go, the TJM number 27. Gotta get that update on your SDK driver details, man.
yeah, I haven't had time. That change only occurred in like the last month or so.
Gotcha. All right, that makes sense. Well, hey, still, great job tonight. Congratulations, a good win for you.
Thank you.
So that's Chad Griggs kicking off his season right with a win. Step aside, take a break. When we come back, it's Renegades time on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. It's time for another edition of RSN Trackside, powered by Bob Johnson Auto Group on Rock Sports Network. Kiss on the champion. Trying to be a bit of a hiatus, so let's get.
Tonight we'll be talking about it.
outpouring of love was amazing. These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. We can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive. So having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
I was involved in a pretty gnarly sprint car crash. Found out my brain was swelling and bleeding. Pelvic bone was broken. I had 2 cracked vertebrae on my back, and I was in the ICU a little over a week. The Steve King Foundation reached out to my parents. We received a donation from them. Immediately, they started me on what's called neurofeedback, and insurance did not cover the neurofeedback appointments. So we received another donation from the Steve King Foundation. It really helped a lot, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to the Steve King Foundation for everything that they have done for me. This last Sunday, I got to turn laps in my modified here. That was my first laps back in a race car since the accident, and I truly believe that if it wasn't for the Steve King Foundation, I wouldn't be able to do that or be where I'm at today.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
Alright, I don't know if anyone can see this still, but it sounds like maybe having some technical difficulties. So with